To a Friday. We like to call it Friday because we're celebrating. And we got a sound effect for that. Hit it, man. Friday! Yes, it is. Well, congratulations. You made it through another week, and you're about to have the weekend in front of you and pushing buttons so ably on the board right now. Earning points with John, I'm sure. JP, hey, buddy.
Don't be so sure about that. He's been a tough grader lately, so.
He has been rather tough on you lately. No telling what'll come out of your JP on sports today, though. So
nope.
There'll be
no
points.
telling.
I feel certain. All right. Speaking of which, we got a great show laid on for you. Yep, it's Friday. So halfway through hour number 2, JP on sports. So yes, he is indeed our guru of all things sports. He is the sports maven. And we'll be hearing from JP at halfway through hour number 2. And then I got a triple dipper just filled up with stuff. So hit it, man.
The Triple Dipper. 3 stories you've got to know.
That's right. The Triple Dipper. 3 stories, 3 themes, if you will, that we're going to got to know as we run today's show. So first out the gate, I'm calling it the common defense. I'm going to talk about this in my monologue for a bit and then the first dipper. I don't know if you saw it or not. But apparently, Gavin Newsom lost again. I mean, like lost again. But yes, we're going to talk about what it means that the National Guard, according to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is about as liberal as they get, is allowed to be deployed by the president. Well, we'll talk about that, plus more. Common defense coming up, number 1, triple dipper. Number 2, I'm just calling it taking the rainbow back. Yes, indeed. Man, listen, that Supreme Court ruling yesterday, that was a game changer. That was big. And it really ought to rank almost as up there with like turning over Roe v. Wade, except that we didn't have 50 years of precedent to work against. But taking the rainbow back, that's where we are. I want our rainbow back, y'all. I just do. And I believe that we are well on the way to reaching back and taking it. And then number 3 on the triple dipper, all eyes on Iran. Gotta stay in tune with that. I was dialoguing with somebody that I know in the D.C. area, works for one of the Senate offices. He said everything upright right now is the reconciliation bill and Israel. All of it. All of it's all about that. And I'm sure that's true. All eyes are on Iran right now as Trump's laid out a 2-week window for diplomacy. And I'll tell you all that we know and breaking news as it comes. All eyes on Iran, number 3 on the triple dipper. All right, let me jump on into the Rightside Way opening monologue. I'll remind you guys, as always, attorney Stan McDonald is indeed the daily sponsor of the Rightside Way monologue. Stan McDonald, partner at the law firm of Wilmer and Lee. He's a 30-year veteran in the practice of law in North Alabama, daily sponsor of the monologue. And I'll tell you more about Stan here in just a minute. Okay, let me jump in here. And listen, I'm going to tell you a story in a minute that I know I've told at some point in the past. But it is so fitting because the anniversary of this story is this weekend. But I'll start by saying this. There's been a lot in the news lately, a lot of major news, a lot of things to cover, major events in the Middle East on the domestic front, securing our southern border, Supreme Court decisions. It's a target-rich environment for a conservative talk show like this one. But there's also one story, though, that really caught my attention. I mean, one story that I think is significant in many ways and a story that actually relates right here to my home state, Alabama. So first of all, know this. Donald Trump just beat Gavin Newsom again. Look, the riots in L.A. have been going on for nearly 2 weeks, and Newsom has been resistant to the idea that anything needs to be done because an admission like that, would just be further proof that he's an absolute disaster as a governor. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass, the left-wing socialist who runs one of the biggest cities in the world, she's determined that the world should know that only part of her city is burning, not all of it. Oh, okay. That makes it better. I mean, by that logic, if there's only cancer in a part of your body, then it's not really as bad and doesn't have to be treated, I guess. Look, Donald Trump has said that he's not going to sit idly by while Los Angelinos have their lives destroyed by rioters and looters. So he called up the U.S. military. Several thousand National Guardsmen are among them. California Guardsmen, to be exact. Gavin Newsom's own guard are out there restoring order where their governor won't do it. And Newsom was ticked. And rather than trying to fix the problem and stop the rioting, Newsom decided the better plan was for him to sue Trump. Well, now, gonna sue some Trump. Sue Trump, take back the National Guard. Sure, great plan. Yesterday, Newsom lost in a big way. Gavin Newsom, he just lost a major ruling in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. They ruled, by the way, as a lawyer, I can tell you the Ninth Circuit is like the far side of the moon. It's usually pretty liberal. But the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, in a unanimous ruling, ruled that President Donald Trump is likely to prevail in the deployment of National Guard troops, and therefore they saw no reason to stop him now. The lower court had sided with Newsom, tried to enjoin Trump from deploying the Guard. But Newsom and various Democrat politicians have insisted that Trump's order was unlawful and that Newsom himself has to agree before the president can do this. The Ninth Circuit ruled on Thursday that Newsom does not have a veto over the president's authority to deploy the National Guard. Does not. So the Ninth Circuit blocked the injunction of District Court Judge Charles Breyer, who suggested in open court that Trump was acting like King George. This is a huge win, y'all. It's a huge win. It's also validation of the law, found in Title 10 of the U.S. Code, by the way, which clearly states this, and here I'll quote it for you. Quote, if the president is unable with the regular forces to execute the laws of the United States, the president may call into federal service members and units of the National Guard of any state in such numbers as he considers necessary to repel the invasion, suppress the rebellion, or execute the laws. That's it. That's the law. That's what Trump did. And by the way, it's not the first time that it's happened, and it probably won't be the last. Newsom could have been the hero. He could have been the hero he pretends himself to be, but he gambled with his people's lives, and he banked on winning at the courts, and he lost. And now he slinks back to his podcast studio to try and spin it to sound better than it really is. But there ain't no way to put lipstick on that pig. Newsom just got his backside handed to him on a silver platter. But as I saw the story, it reminded me of how many times the National Guard's been called up to restore order. I mean, oftentimes it's in the wake of a natural disaster or to quell a riot or to protect and defend, like in the wake of 9/11. The Guard has played a huge role in protecting citizens. No other organization can do as much on short notice. But one of the most amazing and controversial instances of the Guard being called up to preserve life, limb, and property occurred right here in Alabama. It's an amazing story, y'all. It's an amazing piece of history. And it's sometimes known as the Phoenix City disturbance, the only instance of true martial law on U.S. soil since the Civil War. So sit back and let me tell you a story, because here's the deal. Some people think the name Sin City, USA came from Las Vegas. It didn't. Sin City, USA was the nickname given to Phoenix City, Alabama in the early to middle parts of the last century. Yep, just across the Georgia-Alabama line from Fort Benning, Phoenix City was as corrupt as they come. Organized crime controlled everything. Illegal gambling halls, bootlegging, prostitution, bribery was the order of the day. The sheriff's office was in on it. The mayor was owned by it. It was like the old Dukes of Hazzard with Boss Hogg and Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane. Phoenix City was so corrupt and awful that George Patton, who was stationed at the time at Fort Benning, he once said that he was so tired of having his soldiers getting beat up and robbed in Phoenix City bars, he'd like to take a troop of tanks and flatten the whole town. During Prohibition, the largest ever federal liquor raid in the entire Southeast took place right there in Phoenix City, with 1 million gallons of illegal whiskey being seized and poured into the Chattahoochee River in a single day. Got some drunk fish that day, I'm saying. Elections in Phoenix City were rigged to make sure the crime bosses had their man in the right office. And look, this went on for decades, and good folks suffered. But a local attorney, a guy named Albert Patterson, he was a good man. He hated what his hometown had become. And Albert Patterson knew the state capitol was too often turning a blind eye to the crime in Phoenix City. So Patterson decided he was going to run for Attorney General of the state of Alabama. And part of his campaign pledge, very openly, was he was going to clean up his hometown of Sin City, USA, Phoenix City. Unbelievably, he ran on that very thing. Unbelievably, despite all odds, Patterson actually won the nomination to be the Democrat candidate for AG, which back then pretty much assured him that he was going to be the next Attorney General after the general election took place. But just a short time after winning the statewide primary, on a promise to clean up Sin City, USA, and beginning his final push to become the AG of the state, Albert Patterson was assassinated in broad daylight right there on the street in front of his Phoenix City law firm. Well, at that point, the city had had enough. There were still good people living there, and they had had it. And a message was sent to Governor Gordon Persons, letting him know the city was on the verge of anarchy. The governor ordered state law enforcement into Phoenix City, but it wasn't enough. So he called on federal government. But then he took the extraordinary step, though, of also calling in a World War II hero, Major General Walter J. Hanna. His nickname was Crack Hanna. Crack Hanna, recipient of the Silver Star, the Bronze Star, and he was also the adjutant general of the Alabama National Guard at that time. The governor told Crack Hanna he had to go get Sin City under control, and they did. 500 National Guardsmen rolled into Sin City, USA, Phoenix City, and martial law was declared. By the way, just so you know, the anniversary of that is 71 years ago this weekend. So the courts were shut down and military tribunals took their place. The sheriff, the mayor, and the whole town council were removed. The town was run by the military for more than 6 months. Crack Hanna and his men, they gathered enough evidence to shut down Russell County's criminal organization and put all the masterminds in jail. During the cleanup, guardsmen ran the courthouse and the city hall. Raids were conducted on illegal gambling houses. Hundreds of slot machines were seized. Brothels were shut down. General Hanna later said, "It was like a whole damn town of ill repute," he said. "We uncovered 28 murders that had taken place in the previous 4 years without even a single indictment, much less a conviction." He went on to say, "Much of the time, I guess it was just cheaper back then and safer to kill people and bury them because dead people stay dead." Well, in November of 1954, the first free elections in memory took place in Phoenix City with guardsmen actually guarding the ballot boxes and supervising the count. Phoenix City was declared off limits to active military personnel from Fort Benning, and military police actually guarded several border crossings from Georgia to ensure that no one violated the order. In 6 months' time, Crack Hanna and the 500 men of the Alabama National Guard, they wiped out the crime syndicates that had been ravaging that part of the state. They finally turned the city back over to civilians in 1955. And for a number of years, there was a special medal that some guardsmen wore on their dress uniform. It was a medal for the Phoenix City disturbance, one of the only times in modern history when martial law was declared and the military ran the government of an American town. And it all began 71 years ago this week. Look, we're nowhere near that level in LA right now, and I know that. LA's bad off, but it's not Phoenix City, Alabama in 1954. But there is certainly history and actual law that dictates that the National Guard is for more than just responding to natural disasters or going to war when called. The National Guard is made up of citizen soldiers who will do all that they can and all that they are ordered to keep their communities safe. And chuckleheads like Gavin Newsom better start getting their heads wrapped around that and doing what's necessary for their people. The Guard belongs. And that's a wrap for the Rightside Way. Well, there you have it. Amazing story. A lot of folks have never heard that. There's a movie made about it. The Phoenix City disturbance. It was an amazing time. And there are people that still study it today because posse comitatus, the use of U.S. troops on U.S. soil, and martial law, that's about the only thing you've got to study. Phoenix City, Alabama. Bill Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just pulling pins on truth grenades in here. Text lines are open, 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. Text it in. Tell us what you're thinking. I want to hear what you, by the way, I'm curious how many of y'all know the story of Phoenix City, the Phoenix City disturbance already. Amazing story. You said you'd never heard of it before.
No, I've never heard it.
Well, it's
Now I have, but
now you have.
yeah.
Hang around. I'll tell more stories. But yeah, it's a crazy story. And by the way, I'm not so sure how I would feel about that being done these days. I mean, martial law, kicking out the mayor, the duly elected. I say duly elected. There was so much fraud. I mean, it was hook and crook, but it was so. I mean, when they're assassinating politicians on the street, I guess the governor decided there's nothing left. And but that is like the extreme example. But they totally dethroned the entire leadership of that community, and then just went in there and fixed stuff.
Had to be done, I think. Yeah.
Hey, let me real quick and step back and remind you guys, attorney Stan McDonald. Stan McDonald, a partner at the law firm of Wilmer and Lee. He's a 30-year veteran in the practice of law in North Alabama. He is the sponsor daily of the Rightside Way Monologue. And yeah, Stan McDonald, he is not only the kind of guy that can advocate for you legally, which I know for a fact he can, but he's also the kind of guy who's been in the trenches, in the fights, as a warrior for conservative policies and politics for like years. So yeah, attorney Stan McDonald, he has represented his clients in literally thousands of real estate transactions over the years. He can stand up for you in any local, state, or federal court. I like to say if Stan McDonald is on your side, you're going to have no greater friend. And likewise, your enemies would have no greater foe. So I'm going to tell you how to reach him. You ready? If you need an attorney in North Alabama, I'm going to tell you right now, Stan McDonald, law firm is Wilmer and Lee. And yes, the phone number is 256-479-3020. That's Stan McDonald, 256-479-3020. Tell him you heard about it at Rightside Radio. No representation made. The quality legal source B form was great. The quality legal source for the lawyers. Was that good? Was it good? Was it good? Was it good?
Almost a 10. I give it like a 9.7 though.
9.7?
Fudge did a hair.
Something in the end was unintelligible. Let me tell you what that really means. He's a freaking good lawyer, but I have to do a stupid disclaimer because some freaking good lawyer required us now to do stupid disclaimers.
That disclaimer was a 10. There you go. Perfect.
There you go.
You didn't fudge any words on that one.
No, I got that one all out without even taking a deep breath. All right, text lines are open. Like I said, let's see what we got here. Red from Tony, Alabama says, I lived at Fort Benning for 6 years and never heard that story. Yeah, man, it's big doings, Red. And by the way, thanks for your service. But I mean, it was so bad. I didn't even get a chance to go into all the details, but Patton literally hated Phoenix City, Alabama. He hated it because his troops, I saw at one point, it said something like 40% of all Fort Benning paychecks were being stolen or spent in Phoenix City at one point. That's just, that's epic bad. We're talking gambling, brothels, murders. When General Krakana says they discovered 28 murders from the previous 4 years that had not even resulted in an indictment. Well, I mean, what are we talking about there? That's 4 years. That's 20. That's like literally a murder every 90 days or 120 days, something like that.
Sounds like Tombstone back in the day.
Golly,
It's the Wild West.
Unbelievable. David at Bucky's says, Phil, great story. Alabama has come a long way since then, but I see a difference. The Alabama governor called for the National Guard where California's Newsom is fighting against law and order. That's my point, David. That's exactly my point.
Hair gel George Wallace.
Hair gel George Wallace. If George Wallace had hair. All right, long text from Robert from Athens that I'll get to after the break. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, all you Rightside ruffians out there, you are listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. Man, covering down on some major ground across the southeast U.S. of A. Y'all, I'm telling you, this show, whew, it goes like from Huntsville back on over to Chattanooga. I'm talking about from Tuscaloosa back on over to Gadsden. All the way down to that loveliest little village on the plains, straight across the border from there, through Phoenix City into what we now get to call, once again, Fort Benning. And yeah, big old patches of North Georgia and Mississippi all thrown in just for good measure. And that's just the radio audience. We love all y'all on the radio, but we also got a bunch of y'all on the podcast, and we got a ton of y'all who out there on the whole wide world go to the World Wide Web, and you stream the show daily live on places like YouTube and our website and Rumble and X and Facebook. So thank you very much. This audience makes everything worthwhile, and we appreciate you. Robert from Athens sent me a lengthy text on his opinions about what's happening in the Middle East. So let me get part of that at least. It says, Dear Colonel Phil, the insane mullahs of Iran have been working on nuclear bombs since they partnered with China in 1985. He said their centrifuges have been busy enriching uranium since 2005. That's 20 years ago. We built the first atomic bomb in under 3 years. Iran could have hundreds of uranium or plutonium bombs. They most certainly have some. The clerics of Iran are followers of the 12th Imam, and they believe that the end of the world is a good thing. Luckily, they have neither a modern bomber nor a large enough ICBM to deliver those bombs. However, they have hordes of international terrorists who will deliver them. As sick as I feel about a new war, we may not have a choice, he says. It takes two to make peace and only one to start a war. Robert from Athens. Robert, great text. I don't know that they have a nuclear device per se. They certainly have enough for dirty bombs. We know that. But the enrichment of uranium, for whatever reason, has eluded them to this point. But they have been pushing for it, and we know that. John from Huntsville says, Phil, fantastic monologue. Also, did you hear that Iran says no peace talks without a ceasefire? I had not heard that part. Trump's addressing the world right now from next to the Air Force One on the tarmac in Morristown, New Jersey. And he's just basically saying again, Trump says we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. John from Harvest says, he also said what? Oh, sports stuff. JP, you're brave, somehow swept the Mets even though they couldn't sweep the Rockies. Worst team in baseball.
I saw a meme of I say for the 74th time about my baseball team under 500. Are we back? I think that's me right now. I think we're back. Maybe we may never lose again. Actually,
never lose again. We might. There's always that possibility we would never lose again.
But then when we do lose again, I'm like, it's over. Season's
6
over.
years from now, we're still not losing. John from Harvard says, Phil, interesting story. I had heard that Phoenix City was known as Sin City a while back. I think I first heard it when my son was doing his basic training at Fort Benning. I did not know about the martial law or that it got that name before Las Vegas. There you go, man. I'm sure this moniker that we want to hang on anything Alabama, but it's still there. And then Red from Tony again checking in saying, it wasn't my service, it was my father's. Well, you know what? Thank you for your father's service, and thank you for letting me know, brother. All right. Let me jump on in and talk about that in a little more detail. Because, this win in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals is big for Trump on several levels. Got a piece here I hold in my callous former paratrooper hands. Fox News, Dateline yesterday. Headline says Trump scores a major win against Newsom in a battle for National Guard control. There's several things that I want to point out in this. Number one, I guess I would have to say Newsom's attention is on all the wrong things. If your state's on fire, if your people are hurting, going after the guy who's trying to stop your people from hurting is really a bad idea. And by and large, the nation is sick to death. We have riot fatigue. I said that a week or so ago. We have riot fatigue right now. We are sick of liberals believing it's okay for them to take to the streets, burn the flags, burn businesses, obstruct traffic, block people from getting to work. It's obnoxious. You can look at how many videos have you seen of late of people actually running over. I must say, I'm not advocating violence. However, if you stand in front of the car and begin beating on the windows, you just might get run over, and that's where we are. I've seen multiple videos of it. But Newsom has decided that the better order of business for him is to resist any external efforts to help bring resolve to the situation. Can't have anybody bringing peace. That will never do. Karen Bass, only a part of the city is burning. It's not all of the city. Okay.
We don't want the National Guard to come here and do nothing.
That's right. Don't make them sit around on their hands. It's like, okay, listen, the end result is part of your city's burning. Hey, governor, part of your state is burning. And they decide that to fight Trump is the way to go. That's point number one in this, is look at how asinine the levels of jackassery have become in California politics. The second thing I would point out, though, is he put it all in the hands of the court, believing sure he was going to have it. I think Newsom was shocked. I'll tell you why more about that in a minute. But I think Newsom was shocked when he didn't win, because that's the way it's supposed to work in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. The Ninth Circuit is literally like the left-wing side of the moon in legal world. If I went into a courtroom in Alabama and I was quoting secondary precedent from a courtroom in somewhere in the Ninth Circuit, the judge would roll his eyes and probably tell me I am overruled. That I am not persuasive, if you know what I'm saying. And because it's the Ninth Circuit, except that in this case, every once in a while, blind squirrel finds a nut. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in a unanimous ruling. That means ain't nobody dissented on this. The whole court said, you know what, Newsom, you're wrong. You got something? Yeah, I see you reaching for the mic.
I was waiting for the applause line there.
I'll make my tactical pauses more noticeable for you next time. In the filing, the court stated they believed the president had made a lawful decision. The court also stated they disagreed with Newsom's argument that the president's decision to federalize members is completely insulated from judicial review, meaning, yeah, we can look at this if we want to, and yeah, we did, and yeah, he's right. That's what they said. Now, here's the thing. Trump didn't do it the normal way. There's two ways he could do this. Under Title 10 of the U.S. Code, it's called Section 12406. Under Title 10 of the U.S. Code, Section 1246, he can bring in the National Guard without the governor's say-so if he believes that's the only way he can restore order or protect lives. He can. That's in the law. The other thing is called the Insurrection Act. And the Insurrection Act has a little bit more to it, and it requires a declaration of insurrection, and it requires a declaration that there's an invading force that's trying to overthrow some aspect of governance. Trump didn't go down that road. He wasn't going to give him the opportunity. He used Section 12406 of Title 10, and guess what? He won. In a rare praise of the courts, Trump went out on Truth Social and praised the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals and said that said America is proud of you tonight. And the court also went on, by the way, to say that Newsom had no power to even try to veto the president's order. Okay, all that to say, there are so many ways in which this is. You look at the misguided priorities of California leadership. You look at the fact that it went to the courts and it was a unanimous decision. You look at the fact that the courts agreed, oh, by the way, the president does have this authority. And then you look at it and say, and oh, by the way, the governor can't stop it. So gone are the days now when liberal governors will say, you can't do that here because, oh, by God, he can. Now, I'll be honest with you, this doesn't happen very often. In a minute, I'll tell you some stats on how often this has happened, but not very often. But you might want to know what Newsom had to say about yesterday's ruling. Oh, boy. Piece here from Fox News again. Governor Gavin Newsom said in an official statement he's disappointed in the Ninth Circuit, but he is touting one aspect of the court ruling as a victory. Oh, pray tell, what could it be? I don't know where he got this. I don't know how he gleans this. I'm not sure how in the world he contrived this out of the order, but he wants the world to know that what the court did is here's a quote. You ready? They rightfully rejected Trump's claim that he can do whatever he wants with the National Guard and not have to explain himself to the court. What? He went on to say, the president's not a king. He's not above the law. We're going to press forward with our challenge. Okay. That's not suspend. That's desperation. That doesn't even make sense. In fact, if you get down to it, it was absolutely 100% a ruling in favor of everything that Trump was trying to do. And the only thing that the court said that maybe maybe he's trying to grab hold of right now. The only thing the court said was, we have a right to look into this, Mr. President. Okay. And that's what Newsom's calling a win.
Nobody's denying that.
No. Anyway, Newsom says this is a critical check on presidential overreach and confirmation the president's not above the law. You lost, dude. You just lost. You lost big. Like in a jackassery lost. Give me a jackassery sound effect, man. It just... Newsom's office said that both he and Attorney General for California, Rob Bonta, remain committed to holding the president accountable for using the military as domestic law enforcement. Okay, what does that even mean? Well, let me tell you what's going to happen. In about another week or so, these riots are going away. The National Guard will be demobilized and sent back to their homes and their daily lives, and the whole issue is going to be moot. So what's going to happen is in about 2 weeks, any lawsuit that they have against the Trump administration is going to be entirely moot and dismissed thereafter. It's a nothing burger. It's literally Newsom having his priorities so whacked that it makes no sense to even look at it. But you have to ask yourself, why would you just fight this? Like, what's the point in fighting this? Because I've got one story here from Daily Wire that says in the middle of all of this, that while Newsom's being too busy suing Trump, that assaults on ICE agents are up 500%. 500% increase in assaults on ICE agents. That's what the riots are about, is ICE interventions in terms of arresting illegal aliens. Breitbart News is where the story was developed. It says, just this week, an ICE officer was even dragged by 50 yards by a car while arresting an illegal alien sex offender. Tricia McLaughlin for DHS says, every day the men and women of ICE put their lives on the line to protect and defend the lives of American citizens. ICE successfully arrested the illegal alien. The officers expected to make a full recovery, but you've got Antifa rioters attacking an ICE building in Portland, Oregon. You've got anti-ICE riots in Los Angeles, California. And you've got basically riots spreading now to Seattle and San Francisco. There's even talk about what's going to happen in Chicago, because that may be the next place where things really ramp up. Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell doxed federal agents working with local law enforcement, saying the names were released by mistake, but DHS is not buying it. All that to say, if you got law enforcement agents with a 500% increase in assaults on them, and your role is to sue the federal government for trying to make it stop, I got to question how you're even staying in office right now. I mean, your priorities are so skewed at that point that you no longer have the best interest of your constituents in mind. You're so politically polarized that you are literally throwing everything away just to get Trump. That is just asinine. All right, we'll take a break right now. We'll come right back, get some text messages, and begin to close this one out. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. Making common sense like a superpower. I'm scrolling during the break. There's a video. Gavin Newsom just put up a video, like in the last 11 minutes. Gavin Newsom, I just read that J.D. Vance is coming to town. And so he quickly puts up a video that basically calls out the vice president for not having been there sooner to see the damage from the wildfires and all of that his state mismanaged like epically, and claiming that citizens in his state may not get the same disaster relief that other states are getting. And then I see where Tommy Lauren has already responded back saying, how do you have time to make all these selfie videos? That's a great question. Unbelievable. All right. So you saw something a minute ago, though. Is there a source for that? Is there a reliable source for that news you told me about a minute ago? What do you got, JP?
There's a 5.2 earthquake in Iran today.
5.2.
And I've seen some people speculating. I don't know how true it is, but there are rumors that it was close to the the Fordo underground facility, the nuclear facility.
Maybe Fordo blew up underground.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. So the epicenter looks like was just east of Tehran. So I don't know where the Fordo facility is.
That's not suspicious at all, said nobody.
Yeah. It is a little weird time to have a 5.2 earthquake right now in Iran. So,
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's okay. That's crazy. All right. We'll keep our eyes on that then. If you see any more about it, let me know. In fact, there's the exiled crown prince of Iran right now on the screen, talking about how he hopes that it does not get to the point of the U.S. having to bomb the Fordo facility, but at the point we may have to. I don't know. Dustin from Hillsborough says, a living example of irony. Days after No King's protest, Gavin Newsom says his case is not eligible for judicial examination, and the court fervently agrees. There truly are no Sacramento Kings. Adam from Athens says, new scum, as in scum, says new scum just wants to open his windows and smell the burning tires like Tampon Tim did. Yeah, if you remember that during the George Floyd riots, you had the wife of Tim Walz, living in the governor's mansion, said she would open the windows. She could smell the burning tires. It was her way of staying in touch with the moment, or something like that. Just unbelievably out of touch. It made me feel a part of thing. I don't know what she was talking about. I mean, why would you even say that? Marcia from Dubai says, Phil, interesting equipment coming in and out of the theater. I saw a French AWACS plane flying south to north just over the coast. Listen, man, I'm sure that's true. I am sure that's true. And what's the meme he sent? ZZ Top, the Supreme Allied leader of Ali Khamenei, said that he'd abandon his nuclear program on the condition that President Trump would allow him to join ZZ Top as Dusty Hill's replacement. No. Kim from Athens says, Phil, I have complete liberal fatigue. I'm not alone. It's rampant on social media. It's so out of control and crazy. I fear that people will take it upon themselves to deliver justice. Well, some of them are trying to right now, their own version of skewed justice by the rioting. That's what they're doing. That's technically what they're taking the law into their own hands. They don't like something, so they act on it, and ain't good. Listen, last piece I got here. I pulled this off of, I think this is Real Clear Defense where I got this one. It's a story. The headline is "The Presidents, the Protests, and the Power: A History of Federal Troop Activations on U.S. Soil." This is not an uncommon thing. Now, you can set aside all of the ones about different aspects of riot control or the storms, post hurricane kind of thing. But the truth of the matter is, there have been other times when the National Guard has been activated for duty to help bring order. Now, not all of them are even included in this particular article I've got. I can tell you right now that the Alabama National Guard, the 167th Infantry that I used to command, it was federalized for service when Pancho Villa's bandits were raiding U.S. towns across the border. And along with National Guard units from all over the nation, they were activated and formed into the 42nd Infantry Division and went down to the southern border and got busy. I mean, started chasing Mexican bandits. I mean, it was quite the thing. So there's that. And then you've got examples like in post-Katrina. They were bringing in National Guard from everywhere to New Orleans to try and restore order, stop looting, and rescue people. That was storm relief, but it was also maintaining civil order. And then you got, don't forget too, Operation Noble Eagle. A lot of y'all listening right now probably had people or maybe yourselves deployed in post 9/11 to do everything from guarding subway stations to safeguarding tunnels and infrastructure. And the National Guard was everywhere, activated for federal service to make sure they preserved life, limb, and property. And then there's the 1992 LA riots. The 1992 LA riots were pretty epic. They were awful. And in 92, California Governor Pete Wilson at that time actually got together with the president and got thousands of National Guard troops in there to restore order. It's a thing, man. It happens. Bill Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And just plain right. Well, welcome to hour number 2 on a Friday. We are glad you are with us, and I tell you what, I got somebody in the studio right now that I'm going to get him on the microphone in a minute. But my oldest, bestest buddy just showed up. I say oldest because I think you're older than me. So yeah, George from Huntsville just showed up. So we may have some stories to tell here in a few minutes. Be careful. I know stories on you as much as you know stories on me. There's all that. I haven't given him a microphone yet, so I can say whatever I want to say and get away with it. But yeah, we'll see if we can get something going here in a few minutes. Hey, listen, hour number 2, I'm going to be moving into another topic in a moment, but I will tell you this: it's not quite breaking news. It's almost more of the same. A little bit later in the show, I'll be getting in Iran near the Fordo facility. That's curious.
Not just social media, by the way, Washington Post, everybody that. So yeah, it's official.
Wow, Washington Post. I mean, I don't trust anything they do or say, but then again, why would they lie about that? So if Al Jazeera reported it, then, hey, that's Washington Post is like right above Al Jazeera, in my opinion.
Washington Post is a bad example, but they're amongst others.
By the way, did you see the story that the Washington Post is being called out hard because one of their reporters used to work for Al Jazeera, is broadcasting locations by latitude, longitude on his Twitter feed, which is believed largely to be assisting the Iranians with knowing full well whether their missiles hit the targets or not.
I did not see that.
It's pretty awful.
That is
In
bad.
fact, I've got it. Hang on a second. I'm going to tell you his name. I'm going to dox the boy. No, where is it? Right here in my notifications. I think Charlene sent it to me this morning. But this guy's name is Ethan Hyam, I think. Hang on a second. Where is that?
That is awful, but also at the same time is not surprising.
Yeah.
I mean, we got people doxing the ICE agents, and nothing surprises me like that anymore.
It's a guy named Evan Hill. Okay, Evan Hill is being reported as a guy that worked for Al Jazeera, now works for Washington Post, posting the exact coordinates of successful Iranian missile strikes in Israel after Israel had warned him not to do it because doing so helps Iran configure their missile accuracy and they know whether their launches are hitting the mark or not. In other words, bomb damage. So in the military, we have a thing called bomb damage assessment. You can drop the bombs, you can launch the missiles, you put mortars in the tubes or launch from the tubes. But the bottom line is you need to know whether it's being effective. Sometimes the only way to do that is what's known as human intelligence on the ground. And if you're getting bomb damage assessment and you know whether or not you have finished the job there, you can then move your aim to another site, or you can recalibrate to do a better job. You can fire for effect. All these things. Right now, they don't have bomb damage assessment unless somebody gives it to them, because the Iranians have believed to be very little human intelligence on the ground. Israel, on the other hand, I think they got people living in amongst them right now. Israel's got moles everywhere. Israel had whole teams of Mossad and special operations that were actually in country launching drones that they had pre-positioned. I mean, how crazy is that?
Israel's got people and pagers everywhere.
People and pagers. Mm-hmm. That's a little scary, but yes. But anyway, this guy named Evan Hill, working for Washington Post, is being called out. Bill Ackman, who's a billionaire himself, I think he's the guy that started Telegram. Anyway, Bill Ackman is calling out Jeff Bezos, saying, why would one of your Washington Post journalists post his geolocation coordinates for Iranian missile attacks other than to assist an enemy of the U.S. in its attack on allies? What would be the journalistic reason for doing so? No response that I'm aware of. But that's a crazy story. More to come on that. Dave from Capshaw checking in on the text lines. By the way, text lines are open, 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. The lovely Charlene chastised me yesterday because we hadn't given away T-shirts. I may do that here in a little while. I tell you what, let's do it now.
Okay.
How do you feel? Is your typing hand ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so here's the deal. Here's what I want to know. It's a Friday afternoon. It's been heavy news all week. Let's lighten things up a bit. I got a batch of Rightside Ruffian T-shirts. I got a whole batch of Rightside Ruffian T-shirts. I'm going to give away a batch of Rightside Ruffian T-shirts. I don't know how many, at least 5 or 6, but I'm going to give them away right now. Here's what you got to do. You got to text in what movie, think about it. What movie most reminds you of today's current state of politics? Think about it. What movie most reminds you of today's current state of politics? I'll give you an example. Tombstone. Tombstone.
That's kind of like the situation in LA, I guess. Yeah, Tombstone.
That's it. Tombstone. Gavin Newsom says, I didn't think you had it in you. I'm your Huckleberry. That's what I'm thinking. So, all right, I'll give a, and when you send in what movie. Oh, they're popping in right now. Send in what movie and then tell us your T-shirt size and your address. We're going to pick 5 of the best answers out of all of this. Your favorite movie that reminds you of today's current state of politics. Good Lord.
Oh,
some of these are pretty pessimistic.
I got Red Dawn, World War Z, Apocalypse Now. Goodness. People.
That's it. Dana from Athens says Red Dawn. Okay. Chris from Sterrett, Alabama says World War Z. Wow. World War Z. Stephen from Madison says Apocalypse Now. Good Lord,
I
man.
know, this Animal House.
Now, Animal House, that's okay. Bill from Huntsville says, God, they're going crazy right now. Kim from Athens says Gangs of New York. Oh, Gangs of New York. Is that a series or a movie?
A movie.
That was a movie. Okay. Bob from Madison says Animal House, and I think that may be one of my favorites right now. So, Bob from Madison, you got to give us your address and your T-shirt size, dudes, because you just won that one. Make notes here, buddy. You need my paper?
No, I got it.
Okay.
I'm over here.
Bob from Madison is got the first T-shirt. Oh, Bobby from Huntsville. It's a mad world. All right. So my buddy George, and he's nodding his head. Yes. Listen. All right. So Bobby from Huntsville is the next T-shirt right now. I'm just telling you. Mike from Coxey, Alabama says, Escape from New York. Snake Plissken, we heard you was dead. Ha. Penny from Athens says, what reminds me of today's political scene? Idiocracy. Oh, my goodness. All right. I got two T-shirts so far. What do we have? Bobby from Huntsville.
Bobby from Huntsville and Bob from Madison.
Bob from Madison.
Bobs are winning so far.
And Mike from Harvest. It's a mad world. Wait, was that the second one to say that?
Yeah, Bobby from Huntsville also said that.
Okay, we already got that one claimed. All right. Apocalypse Now again from Stephen from Madison. Ron from Brownsboro says The Princess Bride. What? Why The Princess Bride? Why would that even be? All right. Ron from Brownsboro, you need to explain yourself right now. Why is it The Princess Bride? Joe from Athens says The Departed. Oh my gosh, this is getting a little morbid. Bob from Madison giving us all his information. You see it there? You got it? You good to go? All right. Wiley from Gunnersville says Up in Smoke. Is that Cheech and Chong? That was Cheech and Chong.
Is it? Probably.
What? Maybe that's LA politics. I'm not sure that's national. JR from Rogersville says the movie that the pitch today is going is the Dirty. I think he meant to say The Dirty Dozen.
Yeah.
Your voice text ain't working, JR.
I think when these people voice text, your voice gets in on the voice text. Is that what's happened there? They're listening to the radio. It's picking you up.
All right, they're moving in faster than I can keep up right now. Somebody else is brand spanking new in the text line. Don't even know what their name is, and it just says Animal House. Thank you very much. Mike from Harvest says, Mike from Harvest, he's giving you get that? He's got his address on there. Good to go. All right. T-shirt size on it there too. I got his. TL from Huntsville says Trading Places. What? Trading Places? Looking good, Lewis. Feeling good. Okay. Bill from Huntsville says The Empire Strikes Back. You know what? The Empire Strikes Back.
That's a good one. Yeah,
that is pretty good. Except, wait. Which one are we? We're not the.
No. We're the good guys.
You're the good guys.
Yeah, that's been
yes, that's right.
I mean, I've never seen Star Wars, but I assume we're the good guys.
We're the ones on the Ewok side. We want to be the good guys. All right. Stephen from Athens is giving you his stuff. You see that? He says Titanic. Titanic.
These are also pessimistic.
People, come on. Nick from Chattanooga chiming in. He says Animal House. All right, there you go. Jason from Oak Ridge, Tennessee. He says, what lies beneath? What lies beneath? What lies beneath? Okay. That one might go. Jason, I want to send one to a Tennessee guy. So Jason from Oak Ridge, Tennessee is getting one. Go ahead. And Jason from Oak Ridge, you got to send us your stuff, man. Size your shirt and your address. Send it in right now. Chris from Starrett, Alabama. One flew over the cuckoo's nest. That in our current state of politics or last year's state of politics? I think that was last year's. Nick from Chattanooga says, I am not Bob from Madison. What does that mean?
You mistaken him for Bob.
There was more than one person with Animal House is what happened. I'm losing. They're going so fast I can't keep up. John from Harvest, The Longest Day. Ooh, a long slog, he said, but good guys won. You know, his explanation alone brings that one forward. John from Harvest, you're one of our winners. Go ahead and make a note there, JP. John from Harvest, send us your T-shirt size and your address. That's going to work. Stephen from Athens says, all the president's men. That one works. Stephen from Athens, his information is already on there. Stephen from Athens, you did not win on Titanic, but you recouped on all the president's men.
All right, so how many is that? Is that 4 winners? 4 winners, I believe.
I don't know.
Gotta give one more.
I'm just giving away stuff.
Yeah, I'm saying you're just
okay.
giving
I'm
away.
just like, I'm all in. All right, did you see Stephen from Athens?
Yeah.
You got him? Okay, good to go. Mike from Coxie, Alabama says, Inglorious Bastards. We can't do that. I want all y'all to bring me a Nazi head. You got to bring me a Nazi head. That's not right. We're not doing that. Lisa from Tanner actually took a scan of a IMDb site. Oh, Charlie Wilson's War. That was a good one. Independent. They're flowing in. I can't even keep up. Independence Day. How much time we got? I'm already done. I got to go to a break. Penny from Athens says, the boys from Brazil. Wow. Where the Hitler clone kid says, can't you understand English? I can't read the rest of that out. All right, listen. How many did I give away? How many did you get? You got 4?
It is 4.
All right, we need one more in here. I'm looking for it real quick. We're going to see what we get. You know what? I like this. James from Arab.
Field of Dreams.
Nice. James from Arab, send us your T-shirt size and your address. I feel confident. Is this heaven? No, it's Iowa. Field of Dreams. I like it. All right. So, James from Arab, you're winning a T-shirt. Send us your shirt size and your address. And, oh, by the way, it's time for a break. Take the break, JP, or the text line is going to smoke. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. We are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. Saving the world one soundbite at a time. I got to tell you, you guys crack me up with some of these movies. JP, did you scan some of these? I just saw
yeah.
Kim from Athens, Lord of the Flies. What? Why Lord of the Flies?
Well, maybe like that in LA, but
yeah, no kidding.
Well, John from Huntsville is upset. We haven't read his answer yet.
Where was it?
A few good men is what he says. A few good men.
That's a very good one.
Says he can see Trump and Vance yelling at the Democrats. He just wants the truth, and the Democrats yell back, "You can't handle the truth.
You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall." Whatever. Steve from Athens says, Phil and JP, do you have any infantry blue shirts? They are not true infantry blue, but we do have blue ones. They're more like navy blue, and I apologize. But no, we don't have any sky blue, infantry blue shirts. But they do have the American flag on them. So there's that. What you got, man?
I was showing up one of the blue shirts we have here.
You put it on the screen? There it is. There it is. Yeah, absolutely. Mike from Coxie, Alabama also said, Colonel Phil, wow, you really know your movies. You were able to quote famous lines from most of those movies. Is that a hidden talent? It's a hidden talent or an OCD. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's just kind of weird. I've always been able to quote a movie later on. And in fact, get me one that I really like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And I can go all day long. Just, we're fixing to RUNNOFT. That's just, I love that movie. Well, ain't this place a geographical oddity? 20 miles from everywhere.
I've never seen that one either.
You've never seen Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
No.
I'm getting concerned about your generation right now. I mean, all right. So Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is a George Clooney who I have somewhat lost the love for George Clooney in his personal life, but he's hilarious on screen. That guy's a great method actor. I mean, he cracks me up. And I will say this too, in the Ocean's movies, his screenplay with Brad Pitt, some of the best I've seen since, try to pick a better pairing of somebody else. But those two guys. But yeah, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Charlene hates that movie.
Really?
Yeah. And I love that movie. I mean, I cannot even be, I can tell you right now, there are so many quotes from that. I think the first time I watched it was in the barracks at Fort Bragg, leaving out for Baghdad. And I just walked in. I was like, what movie is this? It's Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, sir? What are we watching it for? Well, sir, it's hilarious. So we sat there cleaning weapons while we had somebody shining it up on the wall. I laughed. And so from then on, if something went bad in Baghdad, one of my guys would go, come on in, fellers, the water's fine. It's a line from the movie. You gotta go with it. And there's Jason from Oak Ridge, Tennessee, checking in. Yes, see, there it is. All that deployment time. He says all you had to do downtime is watch movies. That we watched movies, and we watched 24. Somebody had multiple seasons of 24, and we went through this bad spate. Jason from Oak Ridge will know because he was on my team. So Animal, glad you're out there. But we had a period of time there where it was so bad outside the gate that we were on. Basically, we had no night ops, so we weren't going out anywhere, and we just hunkered down, and we had to limit ourselves. No more than 2 episodes of 24 a night. You can't, because we'd binge.
Yeah.
So that's how I got hooked on 24, was over there. Jeff from Indiana says, hey, Phil, are you bona fide? See, there you go. That's Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, well, I wouldn't have been able to tell you that.
Friend, you appear to lost some of your folding money. This movie, I mean, it's like 1940s Alabama. You got to watch it.
By the way, Les Vita from Auburn on the YouTube says the good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's a good one. The good, the bad, and the ugly. From Auburn?
Mm-hmm. On the YouTube live stream.
I'm giving away another t-shirt. Les Vita, send us your t-shirt size and your address. We're sending one to Auburn. And in fact, I think by doing that, we just covered all of our radio markets.
I believe so.
I believe that's true. Les Vita, thank you very much. Send us. I like the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's good. I'm going to say that we're the good. Yes, I'm going to say that we're the Clint Eastwood in that one. Just saying. That's the way I feel about it. Alif Mathin says, we thought you was a frog. Do not seek the treasure. What? We thought you was a frog. People out there who haven't watched Oh Brother, Where Art Thou are wondering what in the world I'm doing right now. But I'm having a good time. Mike from Coxie, Alabama says, I am so worried about JP.
Hey, I apologize. I'm sorry.
John from Harvest. I'm a Dapper Dan man. Yes. I don't want fop. I'm a Dapper Dan man. There you go. Terry from Elgin, Alabama. Oh, George, not the livestock. You're gonna have to. We're gonna sit here one day, and you and I are going to watch "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," and you're going to memorize it.
Hey, I'm fine. Have a movie show.
That's right. All that and getting paid too. Phil Williams, Right Side Radio. Coming up next, we're taking the rainbow back. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. You Rightside ruffians out there, you are listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. Covering down to some major ground across the southeast U.S. of A. Y'all, I'm talking about this show. Whew, it goes like from Huntsville back on over to Chattanooga. I'm talking about from Tuscaloosa back on over to Gadsden. All the way down to that lovely little village on the plains we call Auburn, straight across the border to what we call, once again, Fort Benning. And then big old patches in North Georgia and Mississippi all thrown in just for good measure. And oh, by the way, that's just the radio audience. Then there's all of y'all, the whole wide world, going to the World Wide Web, watching us live stream every single day on places like YouTube, our website, rightside.media.org, X, Facebook, all of it. Thank you very much. And then you podcasters too. So this audience, everywhere you are, we appreciate you. We love you. And we thank you very much. You're the reason why we do what we do. All right. That being said, hey, it's Friday. It is Friday afternoon. That means at this particular moment, halfway through hour number 2, we stop what we're doing. We set aside politics and policy and all of it. We spend a little time with JP, who is the guru on all things sports. So JP on sports has the best sound effect out of the entire week, but it also runs in 2 segments. The first segment is called the 3 and Out. 3 top stories he believes are the biggest stories in the sports world right now. And then we come back for round 2. It's called the 2-minute warning. I've got a timer and a buzzer, 2 minutes on anything sports. JP, your sound effect, if you will, sir.
JP on sports!
Courtesy of sorority girls at Auburn. JP on sports, 3 and Out. Number 1, what do you got, bud?
We got a game 7 in the NBA. Thank goodness. I love game 7s in any sports. But the Pacers were able to get a big win against the Thunder last night. Now we got game 7 going back to OKC. We'll see. The Thunder started to pick up some momentum in this series with the Pacers with that statement win last night. Who knows if they can steal a game 7 in OKC. But yeah, like I said, I just love seeing game 7s in any sports, but particularly NBA finals. The season's on the line for both teams. It's the last game of the year. It's always the best. So I'm quite excited to watch this game 7 between the Pacers and the OKC.
That's tonight, you said?
No, that is tomorrow night. Saturday night, we got game 7 there. We'll see if Halliburton and the Pacers can keep going after that win last night. But I expect the Thunder to kind of take that one pretty handily with how they've been playing lately. But the Pacers at home court advantage said otherwise. But I don't know. OKC's got really good home court advantage too, so it could, bounce back as well. But we'll see. I'm very excited about it, though.
All right. Outstanding. That's number 1. What's 2?
So this is a very interesting story, in my opinion, because I think it shows a culture shift, because as you know, June is Pride Month.
Oh, Lord.
But it's also the time we see sports teams, declaring, Pride games or Pride, week or whatever, Pride events. And, the kind of the teams you expect, the LA Dodgers, New York Mets, teams in liberal cities. However, we've seen a decline in teams partaking in Pride, games or whatever.
We have, yeah.
But the Dodgers had a Pride night. And both teams, I believe it was both teams. I know for sure the Dodgers wore rainbow logo hats for the Dodgers. And Clayton Kershaw, Hall of Fame pitcher, who in the past has actually spoken out against not wanting to participate in Pride stuff, having to wear rainbow gear because he is a Christian, open Christian. So he had to wear the Pride hat, but he wrote in Sharpie on his hat, Genesis 9:12-16.
Oh,
which is the verse talking about, God declaring the rainbow as a sign of, God's promise, and completely got hammered by people on the left on Twitter, obviously. But a lot of people stuck up for him. And I think that was, go back to 2020. If Clayton Kershaw did this in 2020, he would have been canceled into oblivion. But now that I see people actually sticking up for him and speaking out for him, and he's not being canceled, I think that shows a sign of winning. But also props to Clayton Kershaw for doing that. I mean, that takes some real guts to do that.
Yeah.
It's sticking up. If he has to wear the Pride hat, then, he's going to still show his beliefs while also, having to do that. But like I said, I think it's a sign of a culture shift almost. If it's, I wouldn't be surprised if, the numbers of teams partaking in Pride events just keeps going down, and eventually it's just
Did he get any backlash from the team owners or from the team management?
The team itself, I don't know, did not say anything, but there was one particular tweet I think that went viral of somebody, trying to tell Clayton to be a tolerant Christian. And obviously we have a whole theological debate how tolerance.
What does that mean?
Tolerance is not a Christian.
That means
value.
Condone.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I thought that was good. Oh, another piece of this. So the Mets, who are also participating in Pride Night of their own, during the national anthem, while the singer was singing the national anthem, they typically put up the video of the flag flying at the stadium, the American flag. This. But after that, they also showed the pride flag during the national anthem. But I would say I don't think it's a coincidence that after they did that, they are 0-6. So I'll just say that.
So you're saying judgment is being served?
Yeah,
is that you're saying?
I would say judgment has been served. Yes.
Flew the pride flag, lost the game.
0-6 and got swept by the Braves last night. So hopefully, like I said, moving forward, it'll stop more and more. But props to Clayton Kershaw for doing that. He's earned my respect big time for that.
That's a cool story. Yeah, I did see that on social media, but I'd forgotten about it. So okay, all right, 3 and out. That's 2. What's 3?
The Caitlin Clark
I knew it
storyline and the WNBA keeps getting. I find this story fascinating to me because we're seeing one of the biggest sports stars in general across all sports, not just the WNBA, of Caitlin Clark, just being completely, decked every game. They're not welcoming her with open arms. What was the stat when she was hurt for about 3 weeks that the viewership dropped over 50%, wow. Which is an absurd number. I mean, that just shows.
So they went from 26 people watching to 13.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah. But I think that just shows how important she is to the WNBA, but she's been back and, it went viral because she got decked in the face, poked in the eye, and got decked to the ground after that.
That's one interaction right there.
Oh yeah,
all that happened at one time.
Exactly, and everybody's been saying, where's her teammates? Where's her teammates? And then Sophie Cunningham, actually, one of her teammates, a couple plays later, that same girl who hit Clayton Clark in the face went up for a layup, and she took a hard foul. But then when she got up, grabbed her by the neck and was saying something to her. So it's nice to see Caitlin Clark's teammates actually sticking up for her. But like I said, I think it's just it needs to be talked about more and more. Of the WNBA has not ever in its existence produced a profit in its single years. And if Caitlin Clark is here to help you with that, then it's just I feel like a tide that raises all boats, they would be more welcoming of her. But I do think there's a racism aspect to this. We talked about Brittany Griner on she denied it, obviously, of her, saying that trash white girl after you talk about Caitlin Clark. So I think there's that aspect to it. But it's just it's amazing to me that the WNBA the players continue to go after Caitlin Clark like this. It is a good sign that her teammates are sticking up for her. But when have we ever seen anything like this? A great parallel I saw somebody talking about this is like Tiger Woods in golf, right?
Okay.
A majority white sport of golf, and Tiger Woods, who came in, there were some, aspects of it that of people, not being willing to accept him, unfortunately, but he showed that he could be the greatest golfer ever and has proved to be the greatest golfer ever. And they welcomed him with open arms. They weren't saying, you don't belong in this sport or whatever. Like they welcomed in with open arms. Caitlin Clark is not getting that treatment. I feel she's getting the exact opposite treatment. And I do think it's fair to say a lot of it is, because of her skin color, predominantly black, sport. It's just unfortunate, and I hope it starts to change. But if the WNBA wants to continue to bring in the viewership that they are, they could be smart to welcome in Caitlin Clark.
What was the teammate? Was it Sophie Cunningham?
Sophie Cunningham was the teammate.
Yeah, and she looks like an Amazon, but Sophie Cunningham, that was a show enough foul. That was I saw it. She grabbed her by the back of the head and threw her to the ground.
Yeah, it was a hard foul for sure.
And I'm wondering though, is it just going to be? I mean, people are calling about how Sophie is now Caitlin Clark's guardian angel and that kind of, and got her back and all that. And I'm hoping that's true. Where's the rest of the team? Because if the rest of the team will go to bat for Caitlin Clark like that and be willing to commit the foul if they're getting their star player fouled, then I think the other teams will begin to back off.
I would hope so. Yeah. And hopefully the refs can actually.
Well, that's the next thing.
The refs are letting the game get out of hand that where her teammates are having to actually stick up for her. And the refs are like just sitting back, letting it happen. I don't know. I think over time, when they realize Caitlin Clark's here to stay, that it'll stop. But I just, like I said, and former veterans like Sue Bird, I believe, was one of them, or I can't remember, the Diana Trotsky, I think her name is, said something about how, the black WNBA players are not getting the proper recognition that they deserve, and pretty much saying that they're upset that Caitlin Clark, the white player, is the one that's breaking the WNBA through. And that's just, I don't know, it just reeks of total racism, in my opinion. I think that's the deep resentment here, which is why I think it's an important story. It's Caitlin Clark is exposing that there. But anyways, I think it's over time. Hopefully, like you said, if her teammates start to stick up more and more, it'll go down. So
it just occurred to me: are your stories, when we say 3 and out, is the first one the most important, or the third one the most important?
It builds up. It builds up.
So we built up to the biggest story. Okay, good enough. All right, that's actually round 1. Perfect. No overtime at all. All right, so we're going straight to the break. We'll come right back. Round 2, JP on sports. This is the one we call the 2-minute warning, where I've got a buzzer and a timer. And we got 2 minutes on everything he can talk about sports. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid conservative, just plain right. Just making common sense like a superpower. All right, we're back for round number 2 of JP on Sports. This part, we call it the 2-minute warning. I've got a timer. I'm getting my timer ready as I speak, JP, because you can't get away with me not having my timer. JP, where's my timer? Hang on a second. My timer's gone. There's a clock on my phone somewhere. I'm going to find it. I don't know where it is. But anyway, 2 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm watching the clock. Start.
So I think this is a hilarious story. We're in the age of NIL and sports and college sports, and it's a new day and age. But apparently, so the new college football video game, which was able to finally come back after 10 years of being away because of the players not being able to be paid and having their image and likeness on games. Anyways, last year it finally came back. I think it is the biggest game that's ever come out, maybe behind GTA or whatever. But so the next one is about to come out this summer. And apparently schools can get money based on how much their team is played in the video game.
What?
So theoretically, you could directly contribute to how much your school getting money by playing them.
This is crazy.
A certain amount. Okay. So I take that as, all right, I understand the assignment. I guess I'm going to have to play like 2 or 3 hours of Alabama football every day so that they can get money to get recruits and such.
If I come in the office and you're sitting there playing.
But also that there's some people have joked on Twitter about, okay, so you're telling me if every single one of us played as Kennesaw State, we could directly turn them into a powerhouse and get them all the money they need to properly get recruits. That's hilarious to me that, and we're in the direct revenue, era as well, college sports officially now. So you playing your favorite team in the college football video game, you can directly contribute to how much money that team can have for recruits.
So there it is. You got D3 teams suddenly recruiting for D1 players.
Yes, exactly. I mean, like I said, if you're a Kennesaw State fan, now is your chance. Turn your school into a powerhouse in real life by turning them into a powerhouse in your game.
My alma mater, University of South Alabama, is about to get played a lot.
Hey, like I said, you can become a South Alabama gamer and turn them into a powerhouse.
And there you go. There's the timer. Start the clock. A reset. Go.
So this story, I think I mentioned it to you off air. It's kind of like disappeared. It's been kind of weird of the Bruce Pearl Senate potential there. It feels like people have stopped talking about it in general. And there's been a lot of talk about, he's given money to Democrats in this past election. That may be an issue. However, I saw a story today. I don't think he said this on accident. He apparently said that he believes his son is ready to become the head coach.
I saw that.
He didn't specifically say, become the head coach at Auburn. But stuff like that you say, I don't think is ever an accident, especially if you're a head coach like Bruce Pearl, who's been there and done that. He knows anything he says is going to be taken a certain way. So part of me is like, okay, maybe he said that. Maybe he is positioning himself to, throw his hat in the race. I mean, maybe he's worked out behind the scenes his issue of giving money to Democrats. But I don't know. What do you think? You think he said that on purpose, or you think that was just a flippant, thing? Of
nothing's an accident.
That's what I'm saying.
Nothing's an accident, but I'll say this. Everybody's watching to see what he's saying and trying to make something out of what he's saying. So he might not have said it with any intent, but everybody wants it to be a story.
Well, and he put up a couple of tweets recently that seemed to really pro-Trump Senate. Like, I mean, he's always been pro-Israel and his discourse on social media, which I thought has always been very, very brave of him. But he's had a very pro-Trump. I feel like he's posted everything of Trump's doing it great. Trump's doing it great. And I'm like, I don't know. Something smells like he's going to run here. So I don't know. I could be wrong. I thought that was very interesting. The story seemed to kind of die out, but I don't know. It's kind of rearing its head
Maybe
again.
he'll be the ambassador to Iran.
Oh gosh, no, they're definitely not Iran. But I don't know. We could see Steve Pearl taking over for Bruce Pearl.
There it is. All right, let me reset the clock. Next 2 minutes, the 2-minute warning. Go.
We got the College World Series for baseball still going on, and I'm happy to say that my prediction has come to fruition of the winner of the LSU Arkansas series will be playing Coastal Carolina in the championship, and that's exactly what we have. We have
Coastal
LSU,
Carolina, the Chanticleers.
The Chanticleers. LSU is playing Coastal Carolina in the championship series this weekend. It wasn't the exact series. I believe Arkansas beat LSU to start the tournament, and then they got a rematch in the semifinals where LSU, I believe, scored 3 in the 9th to come back and win. It was a crazy thriller game. But we got LSU going against Coastal Carolina right now. However, my gut says it's going to be Coastal Carolina. I think Coastal Carolina is the best team remaining right now. If Arkansas were able to pull off the win against LSU, I would have said Arkansas with their strong pitching staff. And granted, LSU, that's not saying anything about LSU. They beat Arkansas, so clearly they're good. But I don't know. I wonder if Arkansas would have been a better matchup against Coastal Carolina. We could be having Coastal Carolina getting their second College World Series win in 10 years? I think they won in 2016. So who knows? The Chanticleers may be the college baseball champions there.
Nobody with a name like Chanticleer should ever beat Auburn at anything. I'm still mad.
I think the name is awesome. The Chanticleers. It's taking a unique spin on the fighting Gamecocks there.
If you're gonna be a fighting Gamecock.
Yeah, but that's no fun. The Chanticleers. You got to be unique with it. But anyways, yeah, we got that series this weekend. I'm very excited to watch that. LSU has they kind of went downhill the last couple of years in terms of they were kind of a baseball powerhouse. It seems hadn't made a championship appearance in quite a while. But now they hear them back, and we'll see if LSU comes back to being the powerhouse or if the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers get their second ring in 10 years.
Chanticleers, and there's a timer. All right, reset. Do you have time? We have time.
We have a little bit of time.
Take it, man. Take it.
Well, I mean, I guess we got to talk about the Braves. Apparently, are back, huh? No, they're not. They're different. I'm not setting myself up for disappointment there.
By the way, George is here. He's a Yankees fan.
Oh, really? Oh, jeez, yeah. But yeah, they got the sweep against the Mets. The Mets are the top team in the division, so it's a big series sweep for the Braves. However, unless the Braves are playing teams that show the pride flag during the national anthem, I guess they're out of luck.
Is that their first series sweep of the season?
No, it's not. It's their biggest for sure. I mean, this is the series you need to get some momentum because Ronald Acuna Jr. came back, former MVP, and everybody thought that would be the thing that turns him around. But yet, it's like the pitching staff for the Braves is just can't get it going. The bullpen is just continuing to fail week after week. And that was one of the biggest issues of the offseason that fans were complaining about, was that the Braves weren't properly addressing the bullpen. And it seems like it's coming to bite them in the butt. But who knows? Like I said, this is a big series win for them, series sweep. Maybe they can get on a roll here. And it's summer, and we're coming into July soon. This is the time to start to get on a roll if you're going to do it.
What we need is a video game where people play the Braves. They get money to recruit players.
Hey, don't tempt me. I will do whatever it takes. Okay, if I have to slave away on a video game, which I do anyway, so that I'll do it. I'll do it if that's what it takes.
And there's the music. And that was 30 seconds under the wire, the 2-minute warning. Okay, listen, that's JP on Sports. We do it every Friday, halfway through hour number 2. Coming up next, we're going to talk about taking back the rainbow. That's what I'm saying. Let's take our rainbow back, shall we? Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. We'll be right back. Oh, yeah, like the dude just said. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Well, welcome to hour number 3 on a Friday. Friday. Yeah, it is indeed Friday. And we're going to get you all the way to go home time on this Friday afternoon. And before I go any further, I got to remind you guys that every Friday, the JP on Sports segment is brought to you by our friends at Inspire Advisors. Inspire Advisors. Listen, Inspire Advisors, Paul Breyer and his team are so cool. If you have an investment portfolio that you're managing, have you ever checked to see whether or not the things that you're investing in may be woke companies or companies that go actually contrary to your Christian beliefs? Well, Inspire Advisors can help you with what's known as biblically responsible investing. Yes, they can work your bottom line. Yes, they can raise the value of your investment portfolio. But yes, they can also do it in a way that makes you proud of who you're investing in. So if you'd like to know more, Paul and his team at Inspire Advisors, they are there for you, and they can help you out. They can get you set up, and they can help you analyze what you've got and show you how to be on top of it yourself. Their website, you ready? Their website is Inspire Advisors is www.moneypatternwealth.com. That's Inspire Advisors, moneypatternwealth.com. Check them out. Set up a time to meet with them. I'm sure you would love it. I know several folks who have, and tell them you heard about it on Rightside Radio. I feel like I'm supposed to do a disclaimer like the one I do for Stan McDonald every day.
I mean, you can if you want, but no. If you want to practice your disclaimer.
No representation made the quality of financial services to be performed is any greater. I disagree. I think it's greater. I can say that on this one.
Yeah,
you
can. Yeah.
Yeah.
The lawyers didn't get involved in that.
That's right. Ain't no lawyers. What are you laughing at? We got text messages coming in.
Gosh,
what's happening? What's going on?
Well, Mr. I don't know if you can read Mr. Hero from Pumpkin Center's text if you want. So it's funny. But...
Should I read it out loud? Is it one of those I better read out?
Nah, you can read it out loud.
Oh my gosh, what do we got here? Mr. Hill from Pumpkin Center says you need to do a public service announcement. Rock the South is in Coleman. The roads are going to be dangerous. A lot of guys are drinking, letting their wives drive. Be careful out there. Give that man a laugh track or something. That was worthy. That was absolutely worthy. Oh, that was good. A lot of guys were drinking and letting their wives drive. Awesome. Dave from Tuscumbia says, forget all this. Again, I'm about an hour and a half behind, y'all. My bad. Oh, he's talking about the movie thing. But are you listening to us on tape delay? What's happening there? Dave from Capshaw says, me taking the rainbow back. I need, what has he got? He's got a picture. Oh, look at that. He's at the Ark encounter. I love it. Yes, indeed. The Ark encounter showing Genesis 9:13. I have set my bow in the clouds, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. So yeah, that's Dave from Capshaw saying, me taking the rainbow back. The photo was taken last Friday at the Ark in Kentucky. I have yet to go there, but I want to. I want to take my grandkids there. He said, I'm the shorter one. My longtime Bible study partner and I at the entrance of the Noah's Ark encounter. I have to admit, a bit of pride here. 2 heterosexual men under a rainbow in June. And since we were having a great time, we were feeling rather jolly. Dare I say, we were even gay as we celebrated God's promise. I like he's taking all the words back, man. I love it. That's right. When did we lose the word gay and our rainbow? Gay used to mean happy. Rainbow is God's promise. And yet somehow or another, nobody wants the word gay on their bumper sticker or a rainbow on their t-shirt. That's just wrong.
It is. It's unfortunate.
I'm ticked about that. Let's go ahead and say, let's take our rainbow back. Speaking of which, let's talk about this for a minute. So I hold here in my calloused former paratrooper hands a piece that I pulled from Town Hall that points out that the decision that we had yesterday from the Supreme Court of the United States is just literally a game changer. If you're not familiar, the case is involving, and I said it some on the show yesterday, but I got to talk about it in more detail. The case involves the fact that the state of Tennessee, thank you all of our listening audience out there in our Chattanooga folks, the state of Tennessee, their legislature did what Alabama had done, which is pass a law to prevent surgeries and medical treatments on minors that would be part of the whole transgender movement. In other words, you can't trans a kid. You can't trans a kid anymore in the state of Alabama or the state of Tennessee. Why? Because the Supreme Court of the United States came out and said that in the Scarametti case, which Scarametti is the Attorney General for the state of Tennessee, in the Scarametti case, it upheld Tennessee's right to pass that law. This is a 6-3 decision. In this 6-3 decision, the majority opinion was written by Chief Justice John Roberts, which, you know, it's always a hit and a miss what you're going to get out of John Roberts. But Chief Justice Roberts wrote the opinion, and they did not. By the way, one thing I have to point out is they didn't say it's just a bad idea to do this to kids. What they said is there is no science that confirms this is good for kids. Therefore, if a state wants to pass the law to prevent it, the state is within its rights under the 10th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution to do so. What I've got here in my hands, though, is there's a Dr. Ethan Hyam. He was a whistleblower at Texas Children's Hospital. And he came out, man, and he just, first of all, Dr. Hyam under the previous administration was facing all kinds of threats to his, very professional existence because he dared to point out that the hospital in Austin where he was involved was making money off of trans surgeries on minors. And he took issue with it. And so, yes, he was a whistleblower. And Dr. Hyam is now finally able to get on with his life because Joe Biden and his team lost the election. The Trump administration is not following through on those efforts, to use the Department of Justice to crack down on anybody who's conservative. So Dr. Hyam has now become, though, because of what he went through as a whistleblower, he has now become someone who is considered somewhat of an authority. When he speaks on the issue of these transgender, surgeries and therapies on minors, you got to listen because the guy not only is a doctor, he's a whistleblower, and he's somebody who took the blows right there on the chin and stayed in the ring the entire time. He says that basically the liberal America suffered a blow yesterday. And he went on then to also just trounce on the three liberal justices, which was what? Kagan, Sotomayor, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. Those three were the ones who voted against the idea of letting Tennessee's law be upheld. By the way, Tennessee's law being upheld was in part supported by Alabama's law and our Alabama Attorney General, Steve Marshall. But Dr. Hyam has been just trouncing on these three liberal justices. He said, I did a deep dive into Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson's dissenting opinion. It's worse than I expected. And he gives a thread on it. He says their main argument is that the law discriminates on the basis of sex since there's certain medications that make boys look like boys and vice versa for girls. He said that's insane. These treatments are meant for diagnosable pathologies in order to restore normal physiology. And basically, in order to go down that road, those three justices had to be saying that boys can be girls. So therefore, the treatment should be necessary. That's where they were going. And he's pointing out that literally what they were saying, we should not be surprised by Ketanji Brown Jackson. She was the one who, in her Senate confirmation, could not define what a woman is. So I feel like she should have recused. But then Dr. Hyam goes on to say that what we're looking at here is something that is so ludicrous, that is so awful in its inability to be, in pattern with actual physiology and the medical practice and medical standards. He said, it'd be like saying that a patient without cancer who identifies as having cancer is being discriminated against if a doctor refuses to give them chemotherapy because of their imagined cancer. He said they have the audacity to claim, the justices, to claim that the majority opinion somehow contorts logic while they are relying upon anti-logic. It's a great article. The guy's a smart dude. He's putting it right down there where the baby goats can get to it too. And I'll tell you, he goes on to just really trounce them. But here's the bottom line, you guys. And I got some more on this when we get back. But here's the bottom line. Yesterday, I think, was a major win in the battle to take back the rainbow. By the way, why did we let the rainbow get away? Why? Christians have got to stand up. And listen, I say that knowing full well that a whole bunch did. I can look at the battles for Roe v. Wade to be overturned taking 40 or 50 years. I know that. But I will also tell you, too, there's a lot of churches out there flying pride flags right now. The rainbow was not intended for this. The very first historical, not just biblical, but historical reference to the rainbow is in the book of Genesis. God's covenant. I have set my rainbow in the clouds. It will be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. And we let them have it, unfettered, for a number of years. The rainbow has suddenly been twisted into that thing that no straight guy wants on anything he owns. Somehow or another, the rainbow became that thing that we smile at when we see the real one in the sky, but ain't nobody wants it on a bumper sticker. Nobody wants it to be something that they have a hat with it on there. It's been contorted. Listen, the bottom line is this. We have got to do more to preserve and protect those things which are precious. God's word is pretty clear. That's what the rainbow is. It's a sign of his covenant. And this entire transgender movement, and really the gay pride movement, is an exact antithetical to that. It's everything that covenant was not supposed to be, because it takes reality and distorts it. You're not allowed the version of your own truth. I don't care what Oprah says. There's no such thing as having your own truth. Truth is truth. Margaret Thatcher, when she was Prime Minister of England, she was asked about truth one day, something about a story, and she said, of course it's the same old story. The truth usually is the same old story. The rainbow, the truth is, it's a sign of God's covenant. Why did we let it get away from us? It's time to take it back. We're taking a break right now. We'll take that break. We'll come right back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. Just pulling pins on truth grenades. That's what we're doing. So taking the rainbow back, just so you know, I think there are indications that it's not just, I mentioned a while ago, we got riot fatigue. Somebody else, one of our texters texted in and said, I've got liberal fatigue. Here's the thing. We were having a conversation off the air. The left never knows when to quit. Give them an inch, they'll take a mile, right? So the reality is, I think what we're having right now is this whole pride fatigue. I mean, the idea that Veterans Day is a day, but yet we have Pride Month. I don't get it. Somebody explain to me why we have Pride Month. Why does it require a month? Is that because the acronym is so big that every day is a different piece of the acronym? I don't understand. LGBTQ2IA+. I mean, so I don't know. I'm mocking it a little bit, but yeah, why is it a month? Well, part of that's the overreach. They don't know when to quit. And so I think there's a bit of a fatigue with what's going on. So the turning away, the taking back of our rainbow is more than just the Supreme Court of the United States. I mean, we're seeing things too, like right now, the bullying that the DEI machine has been putting in place over the last few years is worn thin. Daily Wire has a piece here, Dateline yesterday. Spokesperson for the group Heritage of Pride confirmed that 25% of their corporate sponsors have pulled out of sponsoring the New York City Pride Parade. Sorry for your luck. We've decided that, putting Dylan Mulvaney on a Bud Light can no longer works for us. But she says some folks have definitely mentioned the fear of potential blowback from the Trump administration. If you're a big corporation, you're publicly supporting DEI initiatives. Here's the bottom line. Your Pride Parade is not a DEI true initiative. All right. DEI is when we hire people without merit. A Pride Parade is a celebration of a sexual orientation. And these corporate sponsors have been bullied for years. You've got to, you know why? Because the Human Rights Campaign it's got its index out there. We're going to get a report card. We're going to see whether you support gay people enough. Have you hired enough gay people? Are you gay friendly at the job? Do you allow gay people the whole month off for celebration? I mean, listen. The reality is, I think the story alone is a clear indication that people have gotten pride fatigue. They're just done. So 25% of the corporate sponsors is actually just pulled out of that parade. Now, there are other things going on around the nation, just so as you know. But we got a thing. We were laughing about this on the air yesterday. Was it yesterday? What day did we have Emily Jones on? Was that yesterday?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So apparently, Moms for Liberty, conservative group, our own Emily Jones, one of our podcasters, is the head of Moms for Liberty for Madison. She's the first founder of a Moms for Liberty chapter in Alabama. She's doing a great job. She has a podcast comes out every Sunday that we run through Rightside Media called The Controversial Mom. She's great at what she does. They've got an event coming up Saturday week, and the speaker is Marjorie Taylor Greene. And so because it's Pride Month, the counter protest is Marjorie Taylor Queen. Marjorie. I got George again. He's laughing. Marjorie Taylor Queen is going to be doing her thing with the Community Pride Alliance. The Community Pride Alliance, which apparently is a private club. No telling what goes on in that private club. The Community Pride Alliance, which is a private club comprised of supporters, leaders, performers, youth, and organizations. I like how they threw youth in there. Now I'm concerned. They're putting on the Vincent Rutherford Equality March. I don't know who Vincent Rutherford was, but anyway, the Vincent Rutherford Equality March next Saturday, and they're I believe this is the one where they're having Marjorie Taylor Queen is going to be there, but they call it a family-friendly celebration of pride. Of course it is. 1819 News contacted Mayor Tommy Battle's office to inquire about his concerns regarding the event, but has not received a response back as of the date of publication, which was last night. Public drag shows in front of children, they point out, have been a major source of controversy across Alabama in recent years, particularly during Pride Month. Multiple bills to ban public drag shows in front of minors have made their way through the state legislature during the last 3 sessions. My point in that is, yeah, there's even events right here in Alabama. It doesn't matter what state you're in, and I understand that. There's the lifestyle choices are not relegated to just the blue states, all right? There are events even in red state Alabama. But I think what's notable here is the last point of that article as a part of taking back the rainbow. There is public sentiment. There is corporate disenfranchisement. I mentioned that with the Pride Parade sponsors backing out. And there is legislative action. Because when I was in the state Senate, I think I've told y'all before, they used to send the Human Rights Campaign folks down to see me because they knew that if I just didn't approve of it, it wasn't going to pass. And they were literally asking me, we want homosexuality to be named a protected class for hiring in the state of Alabama. And I said, no. You want to be equated to the same thing as, because of your sexual orientation, to someone being born a certain color, to their gender? Why would we do that? Well, that was legislative action that stopped something. Sometimes, though, legislative action taking our rainbow back is about literally passing something that says, you know what? None of that with kids anymore. Thank you very much. Listen, we got more of this. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. I'll be right back. Hey, all you Rightside ruffians out there, you are listening to Rightside Radio, solid conservative, just plain right. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid conservative and just plain right. Just covering down on some major ground across the southeast U.S. of A. Y'all, I'm talking about this show. This one, it goes like from Huntsville back over to Chattanooga. I'm talking about from Tuscaloosa back over to Gadsden. All the way down to that lovely little village on the plains we call Auburn, straight across the border from there to what we call, once again, Fort Benning. Fort Benning. And then big old patches of North Georgia and Mississippi. Oh, by the way, that's just the radio audience. Then there's all of y'all in the big wide world going to the World Wide Web, and you're dialing into the show every day on places like YouTube, Rumble, our website, rightsidemedia.org. And then all you podcasters who catch it after the fact. Listen, the bottom line is I say all that to say we got a whole bunch of y'all out there that are right side ruffians, and this show is y'all's. And we love you, and we appreciate you more than you can possibly imagine. And it's Friday, and we're in the last throes of the show. And look, I just said, hey man, get you on the microphone. But a buddy of mine, like from way back, way back,
long time ago,
George from Huntsville just walked in the door, and
you let anyone walk in here.
I just, don't give anybody a microphone.
Good point.
For 4 years, George, they've let me have a microphone. Can you imagine this?
No.
All right,
no.
Think back to we're 16 years old, cruising Bailey Cove Road in one of our vehicles, your Volkswagen, my Mustang. Did you ever think that we'd be sitting here and we're like pushing 60 and we're talking on a microphone on the radio?
Well, I'm pushing 60. You are 60 already.
That's unreasonable.
I do come to a certain location off of Bailey Cove occasionally and think back to a time where someone may have gotten stopped by a policeman.
That didn't never. Let's don't start tugging stories like that.
These stories are for your listeners and for JP.
I knew you'd do this. Well, there are many stories, but just remember that I have as many on you as you have on me. So there's that. Yeah, what I remember too is I'm standing there talking to the police officer, and you stepped out of the car, and he looked at you and said, "Do you have something to say?" "No, sir." "Then get back in the car." "Yes,
Got
sir."
back in there really fast.
By the way, we were the ones on the right, JP, just so you know.
I'm sure always.
We were the ones on the right, but we got swept up in a moment.
Yes, we did.
We did swept up in a moment. Anyway, but here we are late in life, but glad to see you, man.
It's good to be here.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
By the way, I am proud to say that you're my friend and you're also conservative, which makes it helpful. You're not here to rail on the show.
That is true.
You're a right side ruffian.
I am.
And I'm glad of it. Listen, I got to ask you, is there now I won't say where you work. I won't do that to you. But I will say you got Juneteenth off.
I did.
Yeah, I knew you did. I saw that Trump. I just basically threw you under the bus right there. So you got Juneteenth off yesterday. All of us private sector people are like, that's a holiday? So President Trump came out yesterday and he says, we've got too many of these holidays. How's the world ever going to get anything done if we're all on holidays all the time? We got like a holiday every month. There's never a month we don't have a full work month.
I just need about 4 or 5 more years of the holidays before I don't need to worry about them anymore.
So what you're saying is retirement is in your future, and then they can take back Juneteenth and you don't care.
That is correct.
Okay. Did everything shut down for Juneteenth where you work?
Where I worked, it did. Yeah. So yes, I do work on the Arsenal, and yes, we did have off yesterday.
Like national defense was just out the window for yesterday.
We were off yesterday. I'll just leave it at that.
I was joking though, because I have family on active duty right now, that the world's worst right now for holidays, in my opinion, is the U.S. Army. They get all of the federal, they get all the Juneteenths and everything else. And then they get, now of course there's times when they get nothing. I mean, like when we were deployed, you get nothing, but then they get training holidays. But the training holidays are designed to give a 4-day weekend to the troops who were like sometimes 2 weeks in the field. Then they get a 4-day weekend. I get that, except that everybody else gets the same one. So the training holiday becomes everybody's holiday, even the ones who never train. They just get another holiday. And so
there is a lot of training, but now, active duty gets different work or different holidays or different work schedules for the training, but there is still, as a government employee, there is a lot of training.
Well, let me ask you. Okay, speaking of government employee, you and I were chatting briefly offline. So you're out at the Arsenal, and by the way, the Arsenal been a huge part of my life growing up.
Yep.
You know, Dad was stationed there. Granddad was post commander there when I was a kid. But what's it like on the Arsenal now? I mean, they've added in, of course, Material Command was the first huge growth, and then next thing you know, the FBI relocating there, and now we're talking about Space Command coming there. I mean, the Arsenal is a city unto itself in many ways. What's it like now, like traffic and everything else?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I've been out there for over 30 years, and I've been blessed to be able to work on both the defense side and then the NASA side with this shuttle program. And it's just gotten bigger with each year, or just grown. And so I just work the as far as the gates go. I mean, there's always a story about gates and the traffic.
Yes,
so
there
I
is.
just try to adjust accordingly and get in. You either get in early or you get in late,
Yeah. Well,
or wait.
I literally went out there. Of course, we're here in Gadsden, so I had to go up there to get my military retirement card, and get my benefits started because I'm that age. I got military retirement now, but I had to go up there to the one-stop center to get it all done. Well, my appointment's at 9 a.m. on a Friday morning.
Good luck.
Great. Was that passive aggressive that she set me at 9 a.m. So I get there and I'm thinking, okay, I get to post at 8:30. Holy crap. I mean, I've forgotten which gate it is now that's so huge that has, the one that's by the golf course, and it has like
Yeah,
8
gate
lanes
9.
going at gate 9,
Right.
has like 8 or 9 lanes going in. And it was backed up for literally a freaking half mile,
Oh, yeah.
all lanes. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
I had an easier time getting into the Pentagon.
Yeah, and it's just like I said, depending upon the day, it just gets you can fly through there some days, and then there are some days where you're just going to wait. So have something good on either Spotify or a good something that you're listening to, and just hunker down.
One of my favorite stories, though, is our texters. You've seen how people texting in the show all the time. Is a lot of folks are exiting because we're in the afternoon drive here. A lot of folks are exiting the Arsenal, and I had one texter say, "I rolled my windows down as I was leaving the gate, and I realized I was hearing you in like 6 different cars."
I might have been one of them.
Who knows? Maybe it was. Well, listen, man, it's good to see you. And we're getting some pizza after the show.
Yes.
All right.
Great to be with you.
Good enough. Hey, listen, I got a few text messages. Let me get those too. I got Walt from Citronelle. Hey, down in Citronelle. How about that? He says, former captain in the USMC. We only got 72s and 96s on holidays, depending on when they fell in the week. And only if you didn't have to stand duty. God bless. Go Trump. Semper Fi. Semper Fi, Walt. We're glad you're online. You're a right side ruffian. Appreciate your service. Stephen from Athens, Alabama. What do we got here? He's using, you know what? He points something out. Yes. He says the heritage of the Rainbow Division, talking about taking back the rainbow, the heritage of the Rainbow Division. And listen, I got a connection here. I'll tell you. But the Rainbow Division was besmirched by the use of the rainbow for gay pride. He said, Phil, I agree with your treatise on the topic you just discussed. And then he said Colonel MacArthur was the 42nd ID's Rainbow Division commander. Yes, he was. Became General Douglas MacArthur. My last command was the 167th Infantry Battalion, Alabama National Guard, which had been a legacy unit dating back to like the 1836 timeframe as a militia, and it worked its way all the way up into being federalized. And World War I, it became part of the original 42nd Division. And a lot of folks don't know the rainbow patch was put on there because this was a homogenous unit. It was formed with units of National Guardsmen from all over the United States. And because they merged them all together, they made their patch a rainbow because they were like, the various colors of the rainbow all coming together. Very cool. They were the heat in World War I. And they were so battle hardened, but they also took so many losses that if you look at the Rainbow Division patch now, it's half of a rainbow. They cut their patch in half to honor the fact that they lost so many of their men. So the half rainbow patch is the 42nd Infantry Division. It still exists today in the Army inventory. It's a National Guard unit out of New York now, but there are remnants of it, even affiliated to Alabama. In fact, Rainbow City, Alabama, named for the Rainbow Division. because F Company of the 167th Infantry that served in the 42nd was from Etowah County, where I'm sitting right now. The Rainbow Viaduct is in Birmingham, named for the 42nd Division. And it's said, too, that those boys from Alabama that formed the 167th and went to war, many of them never been outside their counties growing up, and suddenly they were seeing the entire world. And that wartime mobilization of the 167th Infantry is said to have changed Alabama, because suddenly men came home who had seen the world, recognized there was more to it, and they became far more industrious in doing things they ever would have done perhaps before. And they had a different zeal for life because of what they'd survived. That being said, there's a great book about them. And Stephen from Athens, you sparked all this, but thank you very much. There's a great book about them. It's called Send the Alabamians. It's about the 167th with the 42nd Infantry in World War I. There's a statue in their honor right now on a battlefield at a place called Croix Rouge Farm in France. That particular battle, it is said that the men from Alabama were thrown into battle and they turned the tide of a battle against the Germans. But that particular battle may have turned the tide of the front, and the turning of that particular front may have actually turned the tide of the war. General Plummer said, in a time of war, by God, you send me all the Alabamians you can find. He also said, in a time of peace, you can send them anywhere else. So there's that. Anyway, 42nd Division, Rainbow Division. Let's take back our rainbow. Last couple, David from Bucky's is quoting. He says, if you build it, he will come. If Iran builds a nuclear weapon, Trump will come. At least send a calling card via B-52 or B-2. Yes, indeed. Pete from Decatur says, listen to you talking about the WNBA a while ago. It sounds to me like it's turning into hockey. They need an enforcer like the Philadelphia Flyers used to have, a guy named Sergeant Schultz. Nice. Nice.
Hey, maybe God, her name escaped me a moment. The lady that or teammate stuck up for Caitlin Clark,
Sophie Cunningham.
Sophie Cunningham. Maybe she can be that.
She's the enforcer now.
Yeah, maybe she can be the enforcer.
Yeah, you're gonna wind up having. She looks like she's like 6'5". I couldn't tell.
She's pretty tall. Yeah.
Yeah, she could probably put an elbow in an eye pretty quick. Jason from Oak Ridge, Tennessee, again says, related to the discussion we had a moment ago, he says, if a child can't get a tattoo or buy cigarettes or drive a car or vote in an election or buy beer or defend the country, why should you think they have the mental capacity to decide about a life-altering decision like surgery? Point well taken, my brethren. All right, move me to a break, JP. Last break of the day, Friday afternoon. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Just making common sense like a superpower. Hey, the grades are in already. John's got somewhere to be, I guess, so he's already got the grades in all early. He says Phil gets a solid A for his strong performance. However, today's co-champions are obviously George from Huntsville and the king of Gen Z, JP, with a flawless A triple plus. Congratulations, by the way, JP. This is definitely your best performance ever. You can earn 1,000 extra credit points if you become an engineer for your old show off the bench and finally fix their studio issues.
That is out of my wheelhouse. I'm definitely not an engineer.
all I know is Georgia walks in and just like upstaged everybody. That's awesome, man.
Hey, I'll take the points when I get them.
John from Huntsville. He says you're the man. And he's right, by the way. All right. Hey, listen, I'm going to end the show with just a little positive note here. I don't know if y'all saw the big, beautiful flags. Did you see the big, beautiful flags? The big, beautiful flags on the White House lawn? One on the north and south lawns of the White House. The left is having a fit, but New York Post reports that Trump celebrates the $100,000 personal project of raising 2 White House flagpoles. By the way, there's nothing about these that is like untoward. There's nothing that's like tacky. It's not gaudy. It's not weird. They're just good looking flagpoles. And I don't think I had ever even thought to ask the question, but now that the question's been asked, I'm asking it too. Why do we not already have a flagpole on the White House lawn? Why have we for years, for almost 250 years, why have we just flown a tiny flag from the top of the White House? It's the White House. Anyway, what we now have are 2 100-foot tall poles. Now I've heard they're more like 88 feet because they had to be embedded in the ground, anyway. But but President Trump was excited about the White House raising 2 new flagpoles Wednesday, but he was careful not to overstate it. But he had announced that the 100-foot flagpoles would be erected back in April. And he was also renovating the Rose Garden by creating a concrete platform, building a ballroom, redecorating the Oval Office. All said and done, he's decided to leave his mark on the White House. But the ones that are on the north and south lawn, he spent $50,000 for each of those out of his own pocket. There were no taxpayer funds. This is the president saying, you know what? We're gonna fly the flag, and it's gonna be bigly. It's gonna be a bigly flag.
I'm most surprised it was only $50,000. To be honest with you, a big old flag like that.
It's a honking flag. I mean, it looks like now makes you wonder how much they spend to build those flagpoles at the RV lots that are always so big. But yeah, he says this is a big deal. He was spotted several times the past week making his rounds, talking to all the workers. He was getting selfies made with the workers. He's out there having a good time with them. Although it did crack me up when the one guy was sitting in the sitting in the heavy equipment, taking a nap with the president standing right outside the door.
He had no idea that Trump was there.
He was on union time, you know. But yeah, I got a piece here from the Blaze. Dateline 2 days ago. Liberals are seething over Trump's tacky, monstrous changes. It says President Donald Trump installed 2 big, beautiful flagpoles on the White House grounds on Wednesday, and leftists are losing their minds. Trump announced the installation, saying the flagpoles had always been missing from this magnificent place, but the liberals are coming back calling it tacky. They're calling it monstrous. They're basically just having a fit. You know why? Because Donald Trump did it. Now, I would remind you all that the last administration saw fit to fly rainbow flags from the eaves of the White House portico. That we had, any number of things happening on the White House lawn, like, transgenders exposing themselves and taking selfies because they thought it was funny. There was almost like a desecration. Had a bag of cocaine left somewhere in the White House that got found. And oh, by the way, nobody's ever been determined whose it was. All this to say, I don't think the left cares about the White House like we do. I think the conservative base of America, it's not just like MAGA, it's more like the people that have conservative traditional values. We value our nation's capital. Listen, I spent time working at the Pentagon, and I used to, on my weekends, I would just go for long walks around DC. I'd find the out of the way places where you'd be walking down the street and just be taken aback by a plaque on a house that says this house was built in 1759 or something like that. I walked past one and had to do a double take. Light Horse Harry Lee used to live here. What? Really? I mean, just things. I used to go walk the graveyard at Christ Church and look at the graves that predated our nation. And the fact that, one of the pews there at Christ Church which was George Washington's church, is called the President's Pew, where 7 presidents have sat for services. And just the fact that all these things are so, in my mind, worth revering, not the least of which is the capital of the free world, the United States. And now we have these 2 giant flagpoles out there. There will never be a time when the flag won't be entirely visible. It won't be a matter of a little bitty flag up there on the top. It's going to be the giant $100,000 worth of paid for out of his personal pocket flagpoles that Donald Trump put up. And I'm loving it. And by the way, good luck left ever trying to take them down. I'm pretty sure that won't work.
You gotta dig them out of the ground, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, so you do hate America because you're digging the flags out of the ground."
That's exactly right. All right, listen, you guys, it's Friday afternoon. You have an amazing weekend. We wish you the best. Blessings on you. And I listen, I'm serious when I say it. The reason why we do what we do, the reason why we get on this microphone every single day is because we have the most amazing audience in the world. And we're going to do everything we can on a regular basis to get on this microphone and to remind you that absolutely, without question, America is great. Alabama is beautiful. Jesus is still very much alive, and life is worth living. And so I'm saying it right now. It's true. And oh, by the way, there's more of us than there are of them. God's still on his throne. Stay in the fight. We'll see you Monday.